It was one of those quiet evenings that usually carried warmth, laughter, and comfort. But tonight, the space between us was heavy, laden with words unspoken and truths we'd both been avoiding. She sat across from me, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her wine glass. I had sensed the tension for weeks, the subtle distance creeping into our conversations, the way her smile no longer reached her eyes. I'd hoped it was temporary, a rough patch, a misunderstanding. Then she said it, clear and deliberate, cutting through every ounce of hope I had clung to. "This marriage is a regret," she whispered, sharp enough to pierce my chest. The words hung between us. Regret. How can anyone say that? After years, after vows, after promises, I felt anger flare. But beneath it, a calm, precise clarity settled over me. She had laid her feelings bare. No pretending, no negotiation, no hiding. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I simply nodded, letting the weight of her confession settle over both of us. "If that's how you feel," I said quietly, "then you should go." She blinked, stunned. I hadn't argued, hadn't tried to convince her, hadn't reacted as she expected. I had simply offered her the freedom she clearly wanted, even if she hadn't been able to articulate it until now. "You're serious?" she asked, voice trembling with disbelief and fear. "I am," I replied calmly. "A marriage should be a choice we make every day, not a sentence we endure. If you truly regret it, staying won't fix anything. It will only make both of us miserable." For the first time in months, I saw uncertainty in her eyes. The smirk, the practiced indifference, the mask she wore, all gone. Vulnerability shone through, raw and human, from someone who'd been hiding behind offenses for far too long. She left that night quietly, taking only what she needed. I didn't follow. I didn't plead. I didn't watch. I let the door close behind her, final, deliberate, and in that silence, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Relief. Not just for myself, but for her as well. Sometimes the harshest freedom is the kindest gift you can give. Days passed. Weeks. Life continued strangely. I focused on work, routines, and my own healing. Yet a lingering curiosity remained, a quiet suspense. What would she do now? How would she face the consequences of her choices? Then came the unexpected, a message not from her, but from someone in her world. A short note, carrying weight enough to make my heart skip. "You should know she's struggling. Things aren't what she thought they would be." I didn't respond. I simply watched. That's when the story began to unfold in ways neither of us could have predicted. Within a week, news reached me. Her life, suddenly unanchored, was unraveling. Projects she had promised to manage were failing. Connections she had assumed would hold strong were slipping. People who had once supported her began to notice cracks, the absence of stability she had once relied on me to provide. And yet, it felt almost cinematic the way events aligned. Every setback, every failure was not punishment or revenge. It was consequence, a reflection of choices made. She had dismissed the foundation we had built together, and now she faced the reality of standing alone in a world that demanded competence, care, and foresight. Weeks became months. I heard occasional updates through mutual friends, small glimpses of her struggles, the challenges she faced. And I realized something profound. Letting her go had been the right choice, not to make her suffer, but because truth has a way of revealing itself when we step aside. Then, finally, a note appeared, slipped under my door. No signature, no explanation, just words, deliberate and careful. "I see now what I lost. I understand." I smiled quietly. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't an apology I needed. It was recognition, far more powerful than regret spoken in anger. She had realized the depth of what she had taken for granted, the life she walked away from, and the man who let her go with grace rather than fury. I never reached out. I didn't need to. The lesson had been learned. The truth had been revealed. Closure was complete. What happened next surprised both of us. Not through confrontation, tears, or drama, but because life moved forward naturally, revealing the consequences of our actions in quiet, undeniable ways. Sometimes love isn't about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go, trusting that truth will find its way. That night, when I let her leave, I thought I was losing everything. But in reality, I gained clarity, strength, and a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. She had called our marriage a regret. I had let her go. What followed wasn't punishment, revenge, or vindication. It was a quiet, shocking power reality catching up with choices made. A reminder that actions speak louder than words, and that the most powerful story often unfolds not in confrontation, but in life itself. And in that quiet, I understood something beautiful. Freedom, honesty, and integrity carry far more weight than any apology, any plea, or any regret.